How are you today? So, back again to distract myself a little bit. Um, I think I'm just gonna try and stick to just covering some trial exhibits. So, like usual, I'm about to. Oh, well, you know what? Obviously, I feel like I should start with I apologize. This is the trial exhibits for the Google Monopoly case regarding the search monopoly filed originally 2020 is when the initial complaint was filed in Judge Mehta's court, and we're going over 2023 trial exhibits. Well, they were filed in 2023, um, but they're from various times all over the years, um, and yeah, and so I always feel the need to try and make that distinction because there are two monopoly cases on Google, and I plan on covering the material for all of them. So in case anybody ends up watching shit out of order or something, or if you've just been processing these different cases in general, like just to be clear on which one I'm speaking about, in case you do go look more into it or you've been looking into it, I don't know. Anyway, so back to what I was saying. We're about to go through the last video's trial exhibits like usual. And then, so I'll recap what we just did. Last time we only did 4. We are at 86 total so far right now. And then we're going to see how many more we can get through. So yeah, thank you for being here. I'm going to roll my intro and let's do this bit. Hi, my name is Alexis, also known as Lexi or Deaf Child. I was born deaf, hard of hearing. I began doing business as Deaf Child 2013, marketing 2011, sales 2009. I've earned 50 plus certifications in marketing and sales. My Bachelor of Science from Loyola University, New Orleans, with a music industry studies major and a business administration minor. Deafness runs in my family genetically. Speech is not fully accessible to me. Anyway, I'm here to bitch about whatever the fuck is on my mind. So here we go. Visit my site at noladeafchild.com. Okay, so I don't know how long this one's gonna be. I might just try and keep it to about an hour-ish again. But we'll see. Sometimes I say that and we're here for like 4 hours. But anyway, so we're just gonna go through the last 4 trial exhibits we went through. So we had gone through an email between John of Google and Mike of Google regarding feedback on the GDAF framework. But so in that, I forget what the GDAF technically stands for, but I'm pretty sure if I'm not wrong, it stands for something related to Google Distribution Application Framework, if I'm not mistaken. Or is it like agreement framework? I don't know, something like that. But look, it's all related to how the revenue share agreement and the mobile application distribution agreement connect, in my opinion, to form a Google package. You know what I'm saying? But so the email, it was basically about their risk mitigation because certain regions no longer needed the Play Store, and they were worried about losing more users and if this was going to spread. And so they were also saying in this document that without the MADA, they would not be able to incentivize placement of the widget. And then they're saying that drives a redacted amount of search revenue. And so this is what they were saying that they were concerned with, because like we've been discussing, one of the main ways they gain and retain their user base is through these agreements that make it so that the Google Play Store is the primary means of accessing the applications on certain devices and things like that. Basically, and kind of locking it all in until like a lot of people have an all or nothing deal with them. So yeah. And then the next thing that we looked at after that was a presentation from Google on Android mobile search and assistant revenue share agreement training. Oh, and I forgot to say that the other email we had looked at that I had just talked about was from June 2019, but this presentation that I'm recapping now is from December 2016. And in that time frame, they were discussing getting approval for a new revenue share terms and having the green light to bring it to the partners. And they were also talking about changing the MADA, and making sure that everybody was aligned on the terms, messaging, and potential pitfalls, as well as, catching up on other initiatives and shit. So it was like a 30-slide presentation, so it got really long. And it went into a lot of the legalities and technicalities, but and also some financials, but a lot of it was also redacted. But the details of the mobile revenue share agreement, the general revenue share agreement, as well as the mobile application distribution agreement. And so a lot of this information was redacted, and then if it wasn't redacted, it was very boring legal or technical details that I think for me was difficult to process because I didn't understand what the fuck they're talking about in a lot of the stuff, except for as it related to more of the marketing side and the user side of the other side of what this meant. You know what I mean? Like this, it was talking about the back end, and I only understood that back end as it related to the front end and the way I use it. But anyway, the 4 pillars that they were really trying to hone down on for both the revenue share agreement and the mobile application distribution agreement, for what both are based on, are 4 elements or pillars as they called it, and that would be search, assistant, security, and user experience. And in those elements, for search, they were really focusing on search exclusivity. For assistance, they were really focused on the way that the assistant, on your phone, like I could say, "Hey Google," on my phone. Well, I guess it's not working right now. Of course it's not, but whatever, fuck it. Like, or Bixby, if you have that, or some shit, like, or Siri, whatever, those assistants. And if I'm not mistaken, when they talk about 3P and 1P and all of this material, I believe that difference is third party versus first party, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong. But yeah, and then with security, they talk about updating the devices, but part of that is relevant because part of the way they lock everybody in is basically if they don't do what they say, like if Google isn't the default, then they don't give them the Google security certification that is needed. They don't qualify them as secure enough for Google to use their Play Store. And so, therefore, then they void their agreement and give them less money and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of where security is used, in my opinion, if I understand this material correctly. And then the last but not least, they talk about user experience. And that relates to the applications that they put on these devices that are what allow them to be the default, that are what give them the users, it's the user side that they profit from and everything like that. So yeah, so that's what that presentation went into. It was very long and detailed, way longer than I thought it would be. So yeah. Then after that, we went on over an email between John of Google and Mike, and a different Mike of Google. I just realized I should differentiate that. So the first email chain was between John Yu and Mike Herring that I had recapped. This one that we're about to go over is between John Yu and Mike Rozak of Google. Apologies. This is from June 2017, and it's related to the revenue share agreement being updated. And in there, it's basically notes from the different employees on the presentation that they're working on for the deal. And they talk about in there that their key takeaway is that they believe that the mobile application distribution agreement sufficiently protects Chrome and everything like that. So they're talking about the key takeaways for it being for protection, to protect their way of operation, in my opinion. And then they also talk about, let's see, there was something else. Oh yes, they said that they wanted to be able to get the value out of the revenue share agreement if the mobile application distribution agreement was weakened. And so that's another thing. Both of those agreements go together to kind of reinforce each other in order to lock people in my opinion. So yeah. And then last but not least, we went over an email from Jerry Dischler of Google to Prabhakar Raghavan of Google. So sorry, I believe I'm saying that wrong. And this was a reply about basic video ads questions. And so in this documentation, let's see here. Sorry, my phone is, okay, that's not important. And so in this documentation, they were basically going over, let's see, if watch time was faster, or if watch time grew more than their monetization in terms of video ads. And so what they were finding was a lot more people were watching content than were buying. And so, and they were also saying that watch time is increasing disproportionately in low revenue countries. And they were brainstorming on how they could make the ads better, perform better in low revenue countries in order to monetize more. So yeah, that was a whole nother thing as well. And yeah, that kind of recaps and is a little summary of the last live stream that we went over. It was really focused more on hammering down the ways that those two agreements kind of supported each other, and how Google was brainstorming on ways to scale in places where they felt like they weren't performing. And that all kind of locked into the monopoly argument, in my opinion. But yeah. So next up, we'll just keep seeing how many more we can do. And let's see. So now we are at exhibit UPX0344. And this is a Google presentation on Project Charlotte. And it says Exec update from January 24th, 2019. And it was filed October 28th, 2023. So, let's see. Project Charlotte Exec update from January 24th, 2019. Let's see. It shows an executive summary, and it says, we have found no evidence of short-term negative per user revenue impact, or a negative query volume impact, or a meaningful shift in query volume of Shopee queries away from Google, resulting from a user becoming an online retail loyalty program member or being active on large online retailers. In fact, engagement on large online retailers and querying on Google.com are positively correlated. We have observed that loyalty program members and regular shoppers at large online retailers have higher query volume on G.com. Actually, it's a capital G.com. I'm assuming they mean Google, but you know, maybe I'm wrong. And it says including higher query volume in Shopee verticals, including those verticals that large online retailers are known to be very strong in, like computers and consumer electronics. Naturally, these users are subsequently more active on large online retailer sites, but our analysis indicates that it is likely incremental to rather than cannibalizing their activity on G.com, I think Google. We see no evidence of a change in Google.com query volume when users sign up for loyalty membership, and even see some evidence of an increase in expected Google.com revenue and engagement when users are active on the retailer sites. So, when they talk about Shopee queries, I'm assuming they mean high-intent keywords where people are clearly intending to buy something, or where they look like they're browsing to shop online. For example, if you're looking for a specific item like black shoes, you might want to be buying a black pair of black shoes. You know what I mean? But yeah. And then it says key caveats. Due to data limitations, analysis only covers the last 12 months, and impact estimate is measured over a 12-week window. Therefore, long-term impact, seasonality, and trend of impact are not tested in this analysis. More detailed scope or caveats are included in limitations section on slide 7. And then the last slide we get to see here, it says no observed impact on inferred search ads revenue over 12 weeks after becoming shopping loyalty member. No statistically significant impact found on inferred search ads revenue or actual query volume following a user signing up for a loyalty membership, such as Amazon Prime. Notably, new loyalty members did query fewer days than expected, 1.5 days less in a 12-week period, a statistically significant finding, though this was offset by a slight increase in daily query volume, not significant. Zooming in, we continue to find no significant impact on inferred search ads revenue, regardless of users' pre-loyalty sign-up, Google engagement, activity levels on retailer sites, or demographics, such as age, gender. It says HHI. I'm assuming they mean household income with that. And then for analysis notes, it says analysis involved, but then it's redacted, but I wonder if they are putting the budget there. And then it says impact on inferred 12-week search revenue from a user signing up for a loyalty membership, such as Amazon Prime, is statistically indistinguishable from zero estimated impact, redacted, and it's 95% CI equals, and then that's redacted. Don't know what the fuck that means, but. And then it says impact on 12-week query volume from a loyalty membership sign up is also statistically indistinguishable from zero. The estimated impact is, and that's redacted, and yeah. So then it says no evidence of a negative impact by 12-week query volume when broken down by top verticals. For instance, 95% CI for 12-week query volume impact within shopping vertical is redacted. So yeah, and then the slide is also labeled attorney-client privilege and confidential, and it is kind of blurry, so it's actually kind of hard to read. So I don't know what they mean by Project Charlotte. Like, I mean, I understand that's the name of something that they're working on, but I feel like this didn't explain it, but all we really get is an executive summary, so I guess that's what they meant. But I guess it's a project related to making sure that people are shopping on Google instead of their competitors. And the reason I think that is because, you know, they're talking about query volume in Shopee verticals. They're talking about regular shoppers at large and getting volume on what I believe they're saying Google.com. They're talking about that users are more active on large online retailer sites, but that is in adjacent to rather than instead of Google searches in a lot of cases, because people will use Google to get to a website in some cases, you know, or there'll be a lot of, or for the people that go directly, there's such a large volume of people looking up for things to shop that kind of makes up for that difference as well, in my opinion. That's not what the slide said, just what I'm inferring. But yeah. Alrighty. Next up, let's get through at least a few more, I think. We've got UPX0423, and this is another email from Jerry Dischler of Google to Joan Braddi of Google. And this is a reply about TechCrunch related to Facebook relaunches search ads to offset slowing revenue. And this is from December 11th, 2023. And this was filed November 2nd, 2023. That makes no sense. There's got to be a typo, because how is this filed November 22nd, 2023, but this says December 11th, 2023? How are you going to make something but file it before you made it? You know what I'm saying? Or wrote it, or whatever the fuck we're looking at. But, alright, maybe that's got to be a typo, but let's see. Okay, it says the emails from December 11th, 2018. So yeah, that was definitely a mistake. It's December 11th, 2018. They were probably just accidentally typing the year it was, which would have been 2023 then. But anyway, so it's an email from Jerry Dischler. It's to Joan Braddi. These are Google employees. And CC, we've got Philip Schindler and Donald Harrison. And it's the subject is Facebook relaunches search ads to offset slowing revenue. So it's Jerry had said to Joan, "Yep, this article is making the rounds. Seems like small money due to low intent today, but we'll monitor closely." And so I think what's interesting is around that time is when the General Data Protection Regulation really came into privacy regulation really came into effect. General Data Privacy Regulation, and like California Consumer Protection Act and things like that, Privacy Act, whatever the fuck. So all of those like privacy laws were really buzzing at this time. And so Facebook changed a lot of its ways of running ads in the algorithm, as well as what we were allowed to do in the back end as advertisers in order to comply with new restrictions on marketers' ability to target. And so basically I think this is interesting with that timeline there, because this could have been what they were trying to do instead to change directions when that occurred. But yeah, so before that, Joan had written FYI and forwarded a message from Kate Downey of Google to Joan of Google and Pooja Kapoor of Google, and that was the Facebook relaunches search ads to offset slowing revenue. And it says, "Hi Joan, Pooja. Interesting article today about Facebook's potential re-entrance into the search ad space after removing the feature in 2013. The scope of the test is tiny for now. 1. Search ads are only being made available to automotive, retail, and e-commerce advertisers. 2. Ads won't appear on desktop. 3. On iOS, test is limited to Facebook Marketplace search. On Android, the test is for general search as well as Facebook Marketplace. That being said, this is something we should continue to watch. I'll also follow up with Android what caused Facebook to test the feature only in Marketplace on iOS. Best, Katie." And then I believe it's got the article here, and it shows TechCrunch. Facebook relaunches search ads to offset slowing revenue. It says it's an ad duopoly battle. Facebook is starting to test search ads in its search results and marketplace, directly competing with Google's AdWords. I wouldn't say that directly competes, because Facebook, in my opinion, or unless I missed something, I believe they were more focused on in-app or in-platform, because it's also a website, advertisement, right? And yes, similar to ad search, they do have that external market. For example, you can run ads on Facebook and make that appear on Tinder. Or at least you could at one time. I don't know if that's still the case, but yeah. For example, right? But, so I understand what they're saying, but at the same time, with the display advertisement that Facebook can offer, actually, you know what? Because maybe you're right though, because now Google and Facebook are competing for those spots. Okay, I take that back. That's probably right. Okay, processing. Anyway, but the reason at first I was thinking about that was because I wasn't thinking about Facebook's capability to do that. I was thinking about like how most Facebook ads are ran in platform. So then Google, because they're doing like search, you know what I'm saying, on their search engines. So I guess at first I was thinking no, because Facebook doesn't really run ads on search engines the same way Google does. But Facebook has just as much capability to retarget someone based on what they've searched as does Google. If the pixels are installed by the people who want to retarget them, that because they search for those people. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Yeah, you're right. All right. Okay, let's keep going. So it says Facebook first tried sponsored results back in 2012, but eventually shut down the product in 2013. Now, it's going to let a small set of automotive, retail, and e-commerce industry advertisers show users ads on the search results page on mobile in the US and Canada. I guess that could be like, because there are search results in the website and app itself, you know. And it says there'll be repurposed newsfeed ads featuring a headline, image, copy text, and a link in the static image or carousel format that can point users to external websites. Facebook declined to share screenshots, as it says the exact design is still evolving. Facebook may expand search ads to more countries based on the test's performance. And the rest of this is redacted. And earlier on in the material, we saw where the state was arguing that Facebook and Google were not equal competitors because Facebook did not control and work on search engines the same way as Google, and so it was about the search engine aspect with the search ads attached. So yeah. And then I'm hoping and wondering maybe we'll see more in the future trial exhibits about how they were able to differentiate that it wasn't necessarily a duopoly but a monopoly in terms of how Google was able to monopolize the search ads function, because they won this search monopoly case, so obviously they had to prove that, right? But yeah, and so then we got exhibit UPX 0436, and this is an email from Joan Braddi of Google to Jerry Dischler of Google. It's a reply about Alphabet Q4 2019 earnings, a warning for long-term investors. And this is from February 28th, 2020, and it was filed November 2nd, 2023. So here we've got Joan of Google and to Jerry, but we also have CC'd Carlos Kirchner of Google. It's a reply about Alphabet Q4 2019 earnings, a warning for long-term investors, like we said. And it says, please follow up with John. But my understanding from his comment was that Amazon is better positioned for bidding AdWords for the advertiser than the advertiser. I can't think. Amazon has more data and can bid in a way to get better return on investment, likely to drive traffic to the advertiser's marketplace or Amazon pages and not directly to their site. But one never knows Amazon longer term vision. Oh, okay. We'll see more about that context. And this was from Joan. And she was replying to Jerry Dischler before that had written, by Amazon buying AdWords for their advertisers. I believe what they're saying is that they want to manufacture and third-party sellers that operate on their marketplace to pay them to drive traffic to Amazon.com, correct? I just want to make sure I understand what the mechanism is. I'll follow up. So yeah, so Jerry was basically questioning, like, so people who are own marketplaces on Amazon are paying Amazon to run ads on Google. And John was like, yeah, because, some people think Amazon can do it better, basically, in my opinion. But before that, Joan had written, by the way, another article out today on Google has the most to lose from Amazon in the search ad market. Okay, so before we saw how Google and Facebook's competition in the search ads market, and I was processing that, and I think Amazon is similar to that processing, but obviously as it relates to just the Amazon platform, right? But it says, by the way, another article out today on Google has the most to lose from Amazon in the search ad market. Quick excerpt. Therefore, in Amazon, and as we have just stated, revenue for this concept are growing at 40% year-on-year rates. However, the opposite is true in Google, a stagnation or reduction in the rate of growth of advertising revenue. This situation is being exploited by Amazon as it is competing for a large amount of revenue. Google has reported about $136 billion of revenue for this concept in the past year, 2019. In this competition for advertising revenue, Google is the one that could lose the most because it is precisely in the advertising revenue where Google's core business lies. However, for Amazon, these advertising revenues constitute a supplementary item to its main business segment, online stores. Okay, so yeah, you could be running ads from Amazon the same way you could from Facebook in a way. And so that's where, yeah. So we'll see how the state was able to differentiate Google as its own search ads domination to monopolize the market over Amazon and Facebook. I'm very interested to see more on that. All right, and then before that, Joan had written, John M. stated last year that he has walked into accounts where they said Amazon just finished pitching that the advertisers should buy AdWords via Amazon. We know that Amazon's practice is to collect money from their merchants that Amazon then uses to drive traffic. We believe that Amazon is pitching they have better data to produce better return on investment based on bidding they will do on advertisers' behalf on AdWords. My worry is that by Amazon controlling so much of the bidding or spend, they are actually bidding against themselves so they can drive the bids down in certain categories or keywords. But we need people to look at how much they influence the bid. So I see what they're saying, because a lot of these ads are set up to be an ad auction system. So the price of all the ads are determined by the average bid, you know what I'm saying? Or the highest or lowest bid, depending on the way you set up your ad. You know what I mean? Because you can set up your ads to either be the average or compete at the highest or lowest, is what I'm saying. But anyway, it says, here is a pretty good article on the advertiser spend and expected spend increase on Amazon. There were other articles last year with growing percentage of advertisers making Amazon a must-buy. On effects to search budgets, 17% said they will pull from paid search. The question is, what makes up the 17% of the advertisers polled? A small excerpt. Specialized Amazon marketers and paid search marketers are most likely to be managing campaigns on the platform. I don't know what the fuck just happened. Our survey found most popular ad products. Unsurprisingly, Amazon search ad formats continue to be the most popular. Nearly 90% of advertisers are running sponsored products, about 87%. What did I say about? It's in parentheses. What's wrong with me? Anyway, while 68% are running sponsored brands. Incremental budget increases. More than half of the advertisers planning to increase their Amazon advertising budgets said that increases will come from incremental sources, followed by 31% who said the additional funding will be pulled from non-digital advertising budgets. Paid social and search budgets are affected, but less so, with 21% expecting to pull from paid social budgets and 17% from paid search. And then something else is redacted there. And before that, Jerry had written, Joan, what do you mean by buy AdWords via Amazon? So, that was her response, was basically saying that they could buy AdWords via Amazon. So, Amazon's practice is to collect money from their merchants. So, when they're talking about the AdWords specific product, they're talking about how Amazon will bid on the advertiser's behalf on AdWords. So I guess because this platform is using Google in order to get its distribution, because AdWords is from Google, that is how they were able to show this is still a monopoly. You know what I'm saying? So even though there's articles and press out that we're looking at where it's like, oh, Google should be worried because Facebook and Amazon are competing, what people don't realize is that part of the way that they're getting their distribution is still through Google, in my opinion. Potentially, if I'm understanding this all correctly. So, yeah, and then before that, Joan had wrote, alright, what am I saying before that? I guess I'm reading this in order. No, this is before that. This is a different, so this is from February. It was the day before, so that's why I got confused with the time and the day. All right, anyway, so before that, Joan had said, yes, but Amazon had been approaching our advertisers for over a year, according to John MC, telling them that they should buy AdWords via Amazon, as they can produce a better return on investment. I do believe, based on other press last year, that advertisers are moving some of their digital budgets to Amazon and away from others, such as Google, Facebook, and others. I guess now I see why it's talking about the not necessarily cannibalization, but potential reduction in revenue, because even if Amazon is placing that ad spend for the advertisers on Google for them, they're still charging them to do so. So that same budget could have been used alone in and of itself on Google. You know what I mean? I guess, but yeah, anyway. It says, plus, any merchant selling on Amazon, including us, spends money to Amazon. And then the next part here is redacted. And so before that, Carlos had written, agreed that a very large portion of their ads business is co-op spend you would expect them to get as a very large retail platform. And then before that, Jerry Dischler had written, my take based on the data I've reviewed. Amazon is growing in advertising. Based on the best analysis we have, most of this is offline co-op spend coming online, not cannibalizing us. There is some degree of cannibalization from slow shift of shopping queries off Google into Amazon. Carlos and Joan would love your perspectives. So yeah, the last thing we read basically I feel is the summary of the whole damn thing is what I had just said pretty much in my opinion, kinda. You know what I mean? Alright. So you know what? Yeah. That's kind of it. Yeah. Alright. So let's do at least one more, but I'll see how I feel after that. But I feel like my voice is getting kind of tired, so I might take a break. We'll see. Alright, so next up we got exhibit UPX 0441. And this is an email from Maggie Bellew. Am I saying that right? I don't know. Of JPMorgan Chase to Gil Fishman of JPMorgan Chase. I don't know if that's Jill or Gil, sorry. And it's a reply about paid search deep dive with Leslie. And it's from August 26, 2020. And this was filed October 11, 2023. Okay. So, these are JPMorgan Chase, the bank employees, and it's about paid search deep dive. It says, hey Gil, I'm assuming it's Gil, I don't know, I could be wrong. I had a few notes or questions in red. I also had some updates that I color-coded in green. Feel free to wordsmith those a bit if you'd like. I was up late on the SEO project and I'm trying to wake up still, haha. And it's got that attached. And then before that, Gil had said, hey Maggie, and I more or less finalized the paid search deep dive doc with the with the exception of the key tenants, as I thought we might have them elsewhere and wanted to make sure we aligned on it. Can you please review this doc tomorrow before you head out so that I can submit to TA for review? Thanks. And then for that, Lim and Tracy Ann had said to them, or is it Tracy Ann Lim? Is that her name? I don't know. So Tracy Ann had said, the subject was deep dive with Leslie, and it looks like a Zoom invitation. And the description says per Leslie's availability, and it looks like the Zoom info is redacted, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And then after that, it shows like a little document, and it says page search. Definition. Search ads appear at the top of search engines, such as Google or Bing, and allow advertisers to promote their products or services alongside the organic results within a search engine results page. Core benefits. Search is a consumer demand-driven media channel. Through search queries, it has the ability to answer people's questions with expansive coverage on thousands of keywords. Search can drive acquisition based on some of the strongest intent signals made available. While many search queries are vague or ambiguous, such as chase or bank, etc., search can capture a consumer's intent to transact is at its highest point. Just read that what it said. It didn't make sense to me, but I mean, the concept makes sense, but the way they said it doesn't. You know what I mean? But anyway, they're talking about how Google search can capture high intent keywords. You know what I mean? But yeah. So then it says paid search copy can be changed and tested much faster than it can be on the organic side, helping us learn quickly what language works so that we can use which we can use to better inform other marketing messages. Paid search can quickly be put into action and drive traffic, allowing us to trigger an ad at the top of the results just minutes after launching a campaign. Paid search has no commitments and can be one of the fastest channels to both shut down and ramp up as there are changes in the marketplace. Strengths: rank at the top of the search pages quickly to drive traffic. Quickly deploy or swap out messages for promos or general announcements. Hit specific audiences with curated messages. Near instant tracking of how traffic responds post-click with proper tagging. Weaknesses: depending on competition and engine-assessed quality score, you may have to pay a hefty premium to trigger, such as $60 or more cost per clicks on business credit cards. Messages limited by character counts imposed by the engines. Only redacted match rates based on chase, email, or phone customer match, and a few of the matched customers search for non-brand category terms. View into, I'm processing. Then it says view into performance or optimization is limited by browsers' attempt to block cookies, such as Safari, ITP. So, basically they're saying, you can get up there immediately, because if it's organic, it can take a few months to rank, or years, depending. But if it's paid, then you're up there if you're bidding correctly, right? And you can target based on the keywords. But then with the weaknesses, it can be very expensive, particularly depending on the more high intent the keyword, the more expensive it is, and the more expensive your offering, then the more expensive it is. So yeah. And then after that, it says myth busting. So first it says nobody clicks on paid search ads. And below that, click-through rates vary by keyword type and industry, but our typical brand click-through rates range between redacted, non-brand click-through rates range between redacted. Do we have impressions or click volume ranges as well to show? And then it says, and that's in parentheses, so I'm guessing they meant to add that in. But anyway, it says, why bid on brand terms? Won't we just get the click organically since we rank at the top? Multiple incrementality tests across the various LOBs over the years have shown that even brand conversions are somewhere between redacted and incremental. To be honest, no fucking clue what LOB stands for here, but it can help, because if you want, when someone Googles you in general, you don't really have too much control, like so many things that you could have published about yourself, you don't really have control over which one is going to show up. So by running ads on the brand in turn, you can have more control over what is one of the main pages they're going to see when they do find that. You know what I mean? But yeah. And then it says, in many instances, our competition has swooped in where they've taken note that we are not defending the space, capitalizing on Chase's highly recognized brand awareness. And then the next myth, can't we just buy the keyword? Why don't I see the ad every time I search? And the reply is, do we want to include constraints to our program such as cost per acquisition goals or competition? Or were you mainly focused on when the brand is not seen? Right, so they're basically saying you can pay a lot more money to always be shown, but that's not going to be the best use of your resources. You know what I'm saying? Because it's an ad auction system, so the more you pay, the more expensive it's going to get for everybody, right? So anyway, and then it says Google is conducting tens, if not hundreds of tests at a time across their platform. Some of these tests are designed to measure the impact of showing the ad in different placements or not showing them at all. We are able to use the impression share metric to determine how often we're showing for a given keyword, and cannot ensure that we appear in the same placement 100% of the time, but can get pretty close. Search is just Google is the next myth, and it says, while Google and its properties, such as YouTube, have the majority of the market share in both the financial services category and the larger search ecosystem, Bing still drives about 10% of our investment or production for the channel. So yeah, I mean, would you rather have $100 or $90? You know what I mean? So And then it says, newer players in this space have growing opportunities, and we are proactively researching availability or potential to test. And this is such as Apple search ads, Pinterest search, Amazon search, while others have not yet been monetized. For example, voice search powered by Alexa or other digital assistants. And then it says, is there a test slated to launch soon with Apple search ads? This could be good to mention here. And it's looking to pilot Apple search ads with XXX LOB in Q1 2021. So yeah, still don't know what the fuck LOB is. I could look that up, but I kind of don't feel like it right now. Maybe I should. Like it's hard. Anyway, yeah, fuck it, let's look it up. So LOB, no, that's not LOB. Line of business? I don't know. Alright. Product or set of products? So yeah. And then facts and figures, and it says for the fiscal year of 2019. So, Drive acquisitions. Grown from redacted programs supported in paid search in 2014 to redacted by the end of 2019, many of which are now evergreen with varying degrees of investment. So, evergreen funnels, by definition, is an organic, free strategy. So what I think they're saying here is that they use their paid ads to generate a lot of traffic up front to web pages, so then after that, they don't even have to run ads on those pages anymore because they're ranking higher organically from that increased traffic, having boosted it. Because even though, to a point, paying for the clicks won't necessarily, doesn't necessarily improve your ranking, it can if enough people are clicking and engaging and staying for a long time on your site and taking actions with your site and sending signals to Google that they're not, that your page is something that related to that query. But other than that, for example, if you what did I have an example of? Let's see. If you get bounced, a bounce rate is when someone clicks on your site and then they immediately leave. So bounces signal to Google that your page did not answer that query, and that will lower. So sometimes if the ad isn't relevant to the keyword or wasn't relevant to what they were looking for, then it can actually hurt you. And so that is a thing where a lot of people think, oh, if they just run ads for any keyword, which Google will let you because they'll take your money, then the more visibility, the better for them. But that's not necessarily the case because you want to target based on the funnel of the buyer's journey with you. But anyway, so, and then it says drive scale with efficiency. Search can drive significant and consistent scale of traffic and production, keyword dependent. It's responsible for generating redacted accounts across all BUs from paid search in 2019. Don't know what the fuck BU is, to be honest. I mean, I'm assuming business unit, but I don't know. And it says, should we add in a note on efficiency? For channel investment growth. In 2019, paid search spent a redacted across all LOBs. And I don't know what the fuck that is, but I'm assuming line of businesses. It's projected at redacted for 2020 based on COVID-related impacts, such as account pauses, drops in demand, etc., as well as efficiencies garnered in 2019 that carried into 2020. Not sure how this bullet ladders up to channel investment growth. Maybe we should have the above be drive scale and the second bullet be channel investment and efficiency. Channel leader. Chase is a top 60 searched term on Google, driving 7 million plus monthly searches on the core term alone. I think that's what they mean. Is being 60 good? Do we have comparison to what is like top 10 to show we are competition with, or do we want to show compared to finance industry? Um, and then it says haha in here. So yeah, I guess. I mean, I feel like Chase being a top 60 search term is pretty good. Right? Like, all the words in a row to be looked up. Anyway, for key tenets, search quickly adapts to the marketplace. Programmatic media plans should be audience-centric and aim to maximize the use of JPMorgan Chase, I think that's what they mean, owned audiences. We strive for high-quality, brand-safe, visible media at the expense of low-quality reach. We seek out partnerships with premium, mass-reach publishers with whom we can leverage audience targeting at scale. We produce granular, transparent reporting to LOB stakeholders. Line of business makes more sense, I don't know, to derive insights and guide optimization decisions. Regardless of stated key performance indicators, we optimize to real-time metrics that correlate with business objectives and outcomes. So key partners, Google. For product or service, they have Google Ads, search buying platform, the Search Ads 360, the search management and tracking platform. That is redacted for the spend and commentary. Core partner in search due to overwhelming market share. Microsoft. Oh, so this is right here. That's where I think that's in this trial. We'll come back to that. Microsoft. Bing or Microsoft Search Ads is their product or service they use. The commentary, about 10% market share in the financial services category search landscape. And then iSpionage. It's a competitive intelligence tool. Oh, I've been using SpyFu. I'll have to look into iSpionage. Let's look into that. Oh, it's shut down as of 2025. Oh, damn. But now TapFlix is, I wonder if TapFlix is any good. Who knows? But anyway, so I've been using SpyFu. It's like a cheap version of what I guess they mean. And the commentary, competitive intelligence and tracking for keyword coverage and ad copy usage. For Axiom, I don't know how the fuck to say that. The product or service, she just put question marks. That's hilarious. The commentary for car and for Adobe Analytics, future state of allowing us to track. Anyway, I love that she's like, I don't even know what the fuck this is. That's hilarious. This is your presentation, dude. Anyway, so Axiom, it seems to be a data analytics platform. Yep, and it looks like you can do different things with it, so I'm not even going to get to all of that. Anyway, for challenges, measurement. You know, maybe I should table this one, save this for later, look into that later. Anyway, so challenges, measurement. We've got conversion tracking. This is with a growing share of web browsers moving in the direction of focusing on user privacy. Cookie tracking has taken a back seat, making it more challenging for our teams to have real-time access to performance data at a granular level. Potential Google solution is being vetted through internal technology teams. Mobile app tracking. As mobile has become the predominant device in search, users can compete through some actions within the mobile app, which isn't yet tracked by double click. I think I said compete, but it says complete. And a potential solution being vetted through digital. The value of non-brand. Non-brand is seen as a very expensive tactic because of the lower conversion rates and higher costs to play in this space, making it more difficult for us to expand our footprint in many keyword categories due to the financial scrutiny applied to the channel. Through improved tracking, we could, potentially, I guess she's asking. But anyway, so non-brand would be like, instead of bidding for JPMorgan Chase Bank, would just be for bidding for Bank Near Me, for example. And she's saying it's very expensive because it has a low conversion rate, and higher cost to play in the space. It does have a higher cost, but I would say depending on if the keyword's high intent enough, just because it's non-brand doesn't mean it'll be a lower conversion. But I do think that, I guess that's right. I guess that is right though, because if they do see your ad, that is a lower conversion. But for non-branded keywords, you're going to have people who aren't looking for just you, and who might choose your competitor. So I guess that is, yeah. I don't know if you're thinking about your competition versus yourself, right? Anyway, so bidding. Up next is bidding. It says Google's bidding suite of tools have not proven to be widely effective at optimizing for cost per acquisition or return on ad spend, driving up an inefficiency and resulting in a greater use of manual bidding across many of our paid search programs. Reaching existing customers. Despite Google's redacted match rates with our own customer data, few of these users are found to be searching non-brand terms, making it more challenging to better optimize the non-brand space using chase data. Terminology and buzzwords. Search engine marketing. The channel of paid search is typically interchanged with the acronym SEM. Search engine results page. The page that lists both the organic and paid results following your query. Quality score, QS. Google and Bing's relevancy scoring system that, in conjunction with your bid, determines how much you pay per click. I cannot speak. Life is hard. Queries. The terms you type into Google that match back to a keyword in your search program. And impression share. Oh, this is the IS percentage. That's what the fuck that meant. Impression share. For a given set of keywords, the number of impressions we trigger for over the total amount of impressions we're eligible to trigger for. Alrighty. So, I feel like no matter how long you're in marketing, there's always more acronyms and shit to learn. Fuck, man. More measurements, more ways of learning. So, this had a lot in here. A lot. But basically, it went into some of the explanations behind Chase's marketing strategy, and in that, and some of the financials there are a lot, well actually all of the financials there are redacted, but in that strategy, they also discuss and explain overall general how does bidding for and being shown on Google work for when you're running ads. And then, let's see, something that stood out to me. Where was it? I forgot. Ooh. Gonna have to. I just said I was gonna come back to that. Let's see. Oh, yes, right here, the commentary. So, where they put Google was their core partner in search due to overwhelming market share. I think that is, this element right here is gonna be where, and where they show that it's like 90% of their market share. And so how it works on the business side is how the plaintiffs, how the state could possibly be arguing this is a monopoly because they control 90% of the market or the majority of the market. You know what I'm saying? And even, and here they talk about how this is the top 60th, one of the top 60 businesses search terms, not even businesses, just general search terms ranking on Google is them. So even someone who is one of the most searched for terms on Google is basically saying that, like, that Google is the core percentage of them, right, of that stakeholdership. It's all connected. And so that relationship right there where because that's going to cause them to rely on Google, that allows them to monopolize, in my opinion, and have that power and control and dominance. But yeah. So I'm gonna attempt to sum all this up. I feel like I'm just like, But basically, we just went over 4 trial exhibits this time. And I think that puts us at 90 total covered so far, so that's nice. So first of all, we had looked at an email chain between Jerry Dischler of Google and Prabhakar Raghavan of Google. I believe I'm saying that wrong, so sorry. Wait, actually no, I lied. We did that last time, my bad. First of all, we looked at, a Google presentation on the Project Charlotte update from their executive summary. And I don't know too much about Project Charlotte, but what I do know is that they were discussing engagement regarding shopping queries or specific keywords people were using whenever they were about to make purchases. They talk about how people shopping on other sites connected back to them as well and helped them monetize as well, in my opinion, because it went hand in hand together. You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of a rough takeaway. It was only 3 slides, so you know. And then after that, we looked at an email chain from from Jerry Dischler of Google to Joan Braddi of Google about how Facebook relaunched search ads to offset slowing revenue. And so in there, you know, that's what it's about. It was discussing whether or not Facebook and Google were going to be competing with each other, or whether or not Facebook would be cannibalizing or taking away from Google. And so the Google staff was saying, you know, like their test is, the scope of what they do is small, but they should continue to watch what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? So by that, Facebook was operating in a way where you could kind of use it in terms of cannibalization with Google, because they have their display advertisement where you can run ads on Facebook and then they go show up on other sites, just like you can with Google. But Facebook has a lot more limitations, in my opinion, with the way you're able to set up and run those ads and what you can do with Google, in my opinion, and with how those ads, and with also with the targeting of the ads. With Google, you can be a lot more specific, but with Facebook, you can't. But this document didn't go over that, but that's just what I'm just thinking about just now. So I apologize. Let's keep going. Going away from a recap and onto more commentary by mistake. Oops. So anyway, after that, we looked at an email between Joan Braddi of Google and Jerry Dischler of Google, replying about Alphabet Q4 2019 earnings and long-term investments. And in there, they were going over Amazon's business in the same way they were comparing themselves to Facebook. But they were talking about how there is some degree of cannibalization from the slow shift of shopping queries. But at the same time, even though they're growing in advertising for platforms like Amazon, it's cooperating. It's not cannibalizing, because they go hand in hand. If somebody's looking for something on Amazon, sometimes I'll look it up. But if search terms on Amazon are, if people are looking more on Amazon and they're searching for like a book on Amazon, for example, Amazon pages rank in search results. So that's going to then cause Amazon to rank higher for those search terms, or it will also cause other pages with those search terms that have a high purchase intent that people are searching for and trending. Then they're more likely to also be Googling to find those same materials in order to buy it. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, they will be on Amazon and just shopping in Amazon for this specific item, right? Because say they're an Amazon Prime user, they get free shipping, right? Or something like that. But then a lot of people, they don't give a fuck where something's from. If they need something, they're just gonna go look for that vaguely. But so that's why we can go into the argument of cannibalization. But the document itself was just talking about Amazon now doing its own search advertising potentially. So yeah. And then last but not least, we went into another little document on an email from Maggie of JPMorgan Chase to Gil of JPMorgan Chase, and it was a paid search deep dive. And in there, they really go into detail about their marketing strategy. They redact a lot of the financials and the specifics there, which is good, but they go into details of their decision making, and in that process, they end up explaining a lot about how Google works and how they've been successful on Google, and what their system is like. And I think it speaks because they literally say that Google has an overwhelming market share, and the way that they're able to prove that 90% of their search revenue came from Google in relationship to that, I think is how the state was able to use that material to prove its monopoly. So yeah, but yeah. So that kind of sums up today. It's a little recappy cap. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you. I'm going to end this bitch because I'm just kind of tired. If I get another wind of energy, maybe I'll do one more live stream today, but I feel like this just feels right for now. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's real cool that I think we're at 90 exhibits covered so far, so that's a lot to go through. I feel like, we're officially like crossing towards over halfway. Like, we're officially at halfway, and by the end of the next trial exhibits, we'll be over that point, getting over the halfway mark, right, of trial exhibits to go over. So that's nice. All right, well, hope you have a great night. Thanks for joining me today, and I will see you, I guess, whenever the fuck I see you. Thanks for watching. Join the loyalty program at noladeafchild.com/loyalty and check in during live streams to get points for rewards.